So, what if a media company wasn't built for profit, but for connection? Today, we're going to dive into the origin story of a corporation that was founded on that one pretty radical idea. So, forget what you think you know about startups. This is something else entirely.
Right off the bat, let's just throw out the usual script. This whole story doesn't kick off in some fancy boardroom with talk of venture capital or market analysis.
And nope, it wasn't sparked by a bunch of investors chasing the next big payday either. The motivation here was something, well, way more fundamental, something that really affects all of us. It all began the way so many powerful ideas do. Not with a business plan, but with just a simple, quiet observation about the world that we all share. And that observation brings us to our first big concept, the sheer, raw power of information in our world today. I want you to think of it like this massive, constantly flowing river. And seriously, that is not an exaggeration. The main force shaping how billions of people think and feel, it's not just governments or armies anymore. It's that daily, unending flow of information. Every single day, this river just flows right across our screens. And it's made up of everything we consume, right? The news we read, the music we listen to, the ideas we bump into. Whoever controls the flow of this river, well, they're the ones shaping our reality. But there was a problem with this river. A really big one. The systems controlling it figured out a troubling but incredibly powerful truth about what actually keeps our attention. So on one side, you have the model that pretty much runs everything. Conflict, it generates clicks. Fear, it keeps you watching. And outrage, my goodness, outrage spreads faster than anything. But on the other side, there's the alternative, a model built on things like understanding and empathy, which, let's be honest, is a lot harder to find. And this quote just nails the core issue, doesn't it? The very structure of our media world is basically designed to reward division. It's just more profitable to build walls between people than it is to build bridges. But here's the wild part. At the exact same time this, division machine was getting perfected, a completely different, much more hopeful transformation was happening, kind of just beneath the surface. I mean, think about it. For the first time in all of human history, people from every single corner of the globe were suddenly sharing the same digital space. Conversations were crossing borders and music was crossing oceans in an instant. And inside this new connected world, a pattern started to show up. With billions of people online, despite all our differences, what was the one thing we were all searching for? It turns out a single universal desire became crystal clear. That was it. That was the secret. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Deep down, you're looking for a place to belong, a feeling that you are part of something bigger than just yourself. So this realization that the world was absolutely full of people searching for connection, but stuck in a system designed for division, that was the spark. It led to a totally new way of thinking. And it all boiled down to this one question that changed everything. What if you just flipped the entire model on its head? What if you built a media company, not to exploit division for cash, but to serve that deep, universal human need for belonging? An idea this powerful needed a name, a single word that could capture this whole spirit of unity. And that word was Foggal. Now, the key thing to get here is that this isn't about nationality or race or religion, it's a mindset. A Foggal is anyone, anywhere, who believes our shared humanity is way more important than our differences. Okay, so you've got this core idea, and you've got a name for it. The next logical step was to build a mission. How do you actually turn this spirit of unity into something real? The strategy was pretty straightforward, built on three main pillars. First, use the universal language of music to connect people directly. Second, reframe the news to focus on progress and solutions, not just conflict. And finally, share unifying stories that remind us of all the common ground we share. And music was the absolute perfect place to start. Why? Because a rhythm from Africa can move a crowd in Europe. A melody from Asia can totally resonate with someone in South America. Music just bypasses our analytical brains and speaks directly to our shared emotions. This really became the unofficial model. In a world full of media outlets profiting from building walls, the mission of the Foggal Times would be to use all its platforms, the radio, the news, the stories, to build bridges instead. And what's really fascinating here is how they define success. The ultimate goal isn't market share or ad revenue. The real metric, the thing they're actually counting, is human connection.
And this, right here, is the fundamental belief that drives the whole mission. It's this constant reminder that technology doesn't have to isolate us. It can actually be a tool to remind us that on the other side of every single screen is another person who, just like us, is searching for a place to belong.
And so a community was built around a single word, Foggal. It's such a simple name for a pretty profound idea. You know, in a world that profits from division, maybe an idea like this isn't just nice to have. Maybe it's necessary. The only question left is, can an idea like this actually be enough to change the current?